There we go. All right, so it's live stream. I'm just going to be doing some updates about the channel, what's changing on the Green Man. Also going to be talking about some upcoming content, the videos I've got planned, and then going to do a quick CD update as well, talking about my latest purchases. I think I've got 6 CDs to show off since. I think that's probably about right. Since the last time I did the live stream was for my 40th birthday, I had several CDs to show off there. I think maybe that's about right. I've got about 6 CDs to show off since then. So anyway, channel changes. Many of you probably saw my post from not long ago in my community tab, basically saying that it's been a while since I really kind of had consistent content on the channel, and that's largely down to my own circumstances and where I was living before. But now I'm sort of back in my own place with my own space. It's just easier to pick and choose when I do things like record videos, and all that kind of stuff. I'm just in a more comfortable spot to do all that kind of stuff. So that's good. That means you basically get videos more regularly. I'd say about twice a week. I'm not one to do videos like every day or every other day that frequently. I don't think I'm ever going to be that kind of a YouTuber that does that many videos, because I just think that's really hard to sort of, to stay authentic and to keep doing content that you feel is true to yourself, at least in my case anyway, because I just feel like I've got to prepare content quite a bit. So we've got some exciting content coming up. But before I go on to that, I was going to mention, obviously, the other big channel change. The other big channel change is the loss of horror and fantasy content, which for some of you will be maybe really disappointing. And it's quite disappointing for me in a way. I think, had I had my way, I would have kept that on the channel. But I just feel like, for one, it is a big workload. I feel, watching films and reading books as well as doing all the album stuff and album reviews, album rankings, and so on. I don't know how I even managed before. And I think, when you have lots of other commitments, particularly for me, the last 12 months or so, trying to balance all that content is very, very difficult. And I've hardly posted any horror or fantasy content for quite a long time. I think actually I did do a bit of Final Destination related content not long ago, which was fun. But yeah, I'm just finding that, basically the music content is the thing I think that most people come here for. And what I might do as a separate horror channel, but I'm still thinking of what I'm going to call that horror channel at the moment. I've had a few ideas. But that's probably what I'll do. So for the horror, for those of you that have followed my horror content and enjoyed that, don't be too despondent, because what I'm probably going to do is a separate channel with all the horror stuff on there. So if you enjoy the horror stuff, don't be too disheartened. But it's probably gonna be a little while before I start on all that stuff. So it's going to be focused on music content, the Green Man, for the foreseeable. And that's how it's going to be. So, hello. Hi, Sai. Hey, Tom, how's it going? It's going pretty well, thanks. Yeah, I'm in my new home and enjoying lots of music. Today's the first day I've had to just listen to lots and lots of music, which is great. I feel like it's been a number of months since I've been able to really actually spend the day mostly listening to music. So that's been really nice today. So I've been enjoying that, catching up on a few albums. And lots of videos coming up that I am very excited to be doing. One of those is a symphonic metal album ranking, but it's kind of like I've already done the kind of classic symphonic metal Holy Trinity ranking, so I'm kind of flipping that on its head and doing an album ranking for lots of new symphonic metal bands, putting all their discographies together. And there'll be several bands. Lots of them just have 2 or 3 albums, so I'm thinking to make that a bigger album ranking. I've got 7 or 8 new symphonic metal bands. They've all formed since about 2015, so I feel like, to me, that's new. To some people, maybe that's not new, but to me, I'm 40 now. That feels like 2015 feels like quite a long time ago, or not that long ago, rather. It feels pretty recent. So looking forwad to sharing that album ranking. I think we're probably definitely going to have Ad Infinitum, Beyond the Black. In that, I feel like they're two of the bigger, newer symphonic metal bands on the scene. I'm also going to include some of my own choices that I think are great bands like Empress, Everdawn, Elvalon, some of the bands I actually interviewed on Symphonic Sundays. Thanks Si as well for the comment about watching my Lacuna Coil ranking. That was good to do. It took me a long while to get around to that ranking, I have to say. I meant to do it 2 or 3 months ago, but just trying to make sure I had a sort of strong view. Because before you do album rankings, you've got to make sure you're confident, I feel, of what your ranking is going to be. I struggled a bit with Lacuna Coil to work out what albums would be where. Normally I'm quite quick to decide. I have heard Elaine. Yeah, they're pretty good. I know that Chill Dudes on a Couch has interviewed, I think, their singer and guitarist, or they certainly interviewed them before. They have sparked my interest a bit. I have to admit, I don't think I've listened to a full album from them yet. I've just heard singles, which I quite liked. That's another band. Actually, they're quite a new band, so maybe they should be on my list. Another observation I've made is lots of new symphonic metal bands begin with the letter E. So Elaine being one, Everdawn, Empress, Eternal Idol, a band album I've just reviewed this weekend actually, but it's premiering on Wednesday. Lots of them seem to begin with the letter E. Apart from Ad Infinitum and Beyond the Black, all the other bands on my new album ranking are gonna have the letter E. They start with the letter E. Just a funny coincidence, nothing else really. That's a video I'm super looking forward to doing. Is the new age of symphonic metal, and I always find my symphonic metal content. I don't want to jinx it, but it always seems to do quite well on the channel. People tune into when I talk about Nightwish, when I talk about Within Temptation, or Beyond the Black. Whenever I talk about one of these bands, people seem to be quite interested. So that's another reason I'm carrying on symphonic metal content, because I quite enjoy it. I enjoy doing it. So I just got Elaine Dancing in Hell album. I was very impressed and pleasantly surprised. Okay, I'm going to have to listen to them. Yeah, I'm going to have to properly listen to a whole album, because, like I said, I think I've only heard singles. They seem quite good. So, and like I say, maybe I need to include them because they're quite a new band. I think any band formed too long ago, I probably wouldn't include. So I was thinking of Visions of Atlantis for that list, but they were formed back in the 2000s, I believe. Then again, since Clementine joined, they have kind of, I feel like, had a second era. So it feels like the Clementine era of Visions of Atlantis is like a new band in and of itself to me, in a way. So maybe I could include Visions of Atlantis too. I think they're a pretty great band these days. Their last few albums, particularly the Pirates album, was fantastic. But I'm not sure I'll include them in because they're not really a newer band to me anyway. Visions of Atlantis, they're one of the old ones really. What else have I got coming up in terms of videos? We've got top 10 metalcore albums. I know metalcore is quite a divisive genre. A lot of people either seem to love it or really not like it. I actually quite like it. To be honest, with metalcore, that was somewhat my era when metalcore was getting big, was like 2000, early 2000s, mid 2000s. And, a lot of bands that I grew up with are metalcore bands. So, and there are a few metalcore bands that I think deserve a lot more attention than they get. So quite looking forward to sharing that top 10 albums when that comes around, hopefully not in the too distant future, probably after the new age of symphonic metal band album ranking. Probably come around after that. Of course, Dark Horse Discs coming back is a big one. Those of you that have been subbed to the channel for at least a couple of years, perhaps 3 years, will remember the original kind of Dark Horse Discs series, where we talk about albums that are, usually underappreciated in a band's discography. So, for example, we did Queensryche, I think, and Promised Land. Was it Promised Land? Was that the one I think we did? I think we did that one. We did Dream Theater Train of Thought, which, looking back, I'm not sure that album is that underappreciated. I think they have actually more underappreciated albums, Dream Theater. But we did Alice in Chains, Black Gives Way to Blue, which I think is massively underappreciated. And yeah, that series is coming back with Anthrax's We've Come For You All. So I'm looking forward to that. Sorry, Si, you've got another question here. You got any more interviews planned? I thought you did great ones with the ones you did a while back. No, I don't have any interviews planned yet. I tend to do them a bit casually, interviews, I have to admit. I probably need to get back to trying to book people and, maybe getting back into the pattern of interviewing, because I tend to be at my best interviewing if I'm kind of in the rhythm of doing it. I do have some interviews in mind. I don't think they'll just be symphonic metal anymore. I think I'll probably, if I get back to interviewing, I'll try and branch out a bit more. I think I've got a reputation for just interviewing symphonic metal singers who tend to be, very beautiful. So I probably need to branch out a bit to avoid coming across as the guy that just interviews symphonic metal singers. But that said, I am kind of hoping to interview, given that it looks like Beyond the Black have got material on the way, I was actually hoping to interview Jennifer Habbens, so kind of goes against what I just said. But yeah, that would be awesome to get that interview, to be honest. I think that would be really cool. What else was I going to say? I'm hoping to do some album rankings. So before we get onto CDs, we'll get onto CDs shortly. But Arch Enemy, they're going to probably be the next band to do an album ranking for. And I do have Alice Cooper lined up, but the problem is, those of you that know Alice Cooper and his albums will know he has a hell of a lot of albums. He has 29 albums, I think, or some ridiculous number like that. And trying to rank that many albums, I think it's going to have to be like a 2-part video. He's got so many albums. And it's really difficult to do that kind of a massive album ranking. At least I've done big album rankings before, like the Symphonic Metal Trio, but I already knew most of those albums before doing that. With Alice Cooper, I think I know about half of his discography, so there's a lot of albums for me to still yet discover. So yeah, I mean, watch this space. But Alice Cooper, I do want to do an album ranking for, but I'm not sure how quickly I'll get to it. An album ranking that will probably be quite easy for me to do, which is one I haven't done yet, is Fear Factory. And I've been a fan of Fear Factory for a very, very long time, actually, since I first kind of got, about the time I got into Linkin Park, which was when I first got into metal, new metal back then. Fear Factory, one of the first bands I actually got into, so I know their discography pretty well, so that is an easy ranking for me to do, whereas, Alice Cooper, I've still got about 14 albums to trawl through before I can do that ranking. I'm hoping for an Amy Lee interview. Wow. I mean, that would be a huge booking, Amy Lee. I think I've probably got some work to do to get to interview her. But yes, absolutely, that would be awesome. That would be an awesome interview to have on the channel. Amy Lee's one of the sort of best singers of that kind of era with Evanescence in the 2000s. I need to listen to some of the other albums, actually, the more recent ones again. I think the last album I listened to was it 2022? Something like that. I thought that was quite good, actually. I enjoyed that album, come to think of it. So yeah, I need to revisit some of their more later albums. I vaguely remember doing an Evanescence video with Rock of All Ages a while back, and that was more talking about, I think, singles, I think. Otherwise, yes, and there are a couple of other album rankings I'm considering doing. So it's lots to look forward to on the channel. It is going to be quite reviews and lists focused. Like I said, I will try and do some interviews. They're quite, for me, I like to, I guess I like to prepare for them quite a bit. Otherwise, I feel like my interviews they're kind of like, I'm not so good off the cuff. I can do off the cuff. But I'm not that great at it. So, by off the cuff, I mean improvisation. And I think, the best interviews are actually where you can not just ask the questions, but where you can improvise things as well and come up with those kind of left field questions that keep the conversation really interesting, as opposed to just being routine back and forth, which I think aren't the best interviews. And actually, it often depends on the guest you have. Some guests just make the interview super easy. And the prime example of that is probably like the Alina Gavrilenko interview that I did with, she's from Everdawn. And that interview was just so smooth because she was very, really talkative, happy to answer my questions. You could tell that she was happy to kind of be on the channel doing the interview. And I think that makes all the difference. I think if you've got somebody, maybe it's sometimes from the bigger bands where you're doing hundreds of interviews well, not hundreds, but maybe hundreds actually. You get a lot of people that kind of, for the label or whatever, they do a lot of interviews. So by the time they get to your interview, if it's like interview number 40 or whatever it is, they're probably not going to be so keen to answer lots of the same questions that they've had time and again. So I think that's the other thing, being able to improvise. I mean, like Hector does. He's good at sort of off. I think he's quite good at that sort of off the cuff side of interviews. Don't know if he's watching this, but I think that's the thing for me. I can do it, but I wouldn't say interviews are my kind of my strength. Like, I can do them, but I wouldn't say they're my strength unless the guest is really, really good and like Alina was, super kind of just easy to talk to. So where was I going to talk about now? CD update. That was the next thing. Got to keep track. So my first CD I'm going to talk about is Arch Enemy and Blood Dynasty. This was released earlier this year. Let's hold it up a bit closer to the camera. So this is the latest in the Alyssa era of Arch Enemy. Of course, you got Joey Concepcion coming into the band for this album. And I think, I'm still not 100% decided on this, but I think this might be their best with the Alyssa era. I did like the last album quite a bit, though, so not 100% decided on that. But, boasts some really, really strong songs. And I like Dream Stealer, A Million Suns. I think the title track is great, really good. Paper Tiger's a fun one. I think there's a song she does in French, Fever Libre, I think, and that's good. So lots of really good songs. It's not anything I would say is particularly outside of the box or anything unexpected from Arch Enemy, but it's still a great album, really fun listen, and one I've been enjoying listening to. It's pretty much since it came out, so good chance that one will be on my year-end list when that comes to that time. Right, so going to talk about Arch Enemy, Doomsday Machine. Another Arch Enemy album. Now, you might have noticed that I was just talking about doing Arch Enemy rankings, so there is reason behind the madness of buying 2 Arch Enemy CDs. These are ones I haven't had in my collection. So I believe this got mixed reviews upon release. I like the guitar work, I think, in this album quite a bit. It's kind of the Arnott Brothers era, the Arnott Brothers era. But yeah, I like this album quite a bit as well. Don't want to give too much away before that album ranking of Arch Enemy. Next up, I can't believe I don't have this one in my collection. But I didn't until now. Number of the Beast, Iron Maiden. Great album. This is one of those, I think this is one of those metal albums everyone should have in their collection. And I have been secretly not revealing that I haven't had it in my collection all this time. Yeah, here it is, finally. I bought it just yesterday, the CD. I think that means I've nearly got all of their albums on CD now. But yeah, for some reason, I've never bought Number of the Beast. Don't know why. Just one of those things. Actually, let's get back to the chat because Sai has asked. Yes, sorry, dude, you've asked another question. Or have it? I recently got Lost Whispers, Evanescence album with all B sides and unreleased songs. Oh, sounds good. I love it. That's really good. Yes, I definitely need to get back to some Evanescence and revisit, like I say, their latest stuff because I haven't listened to their latest stuff much recently. Now, next up is an album I reviewed that I think, is one of those kind of albums that's sort of slightly outside of the usual scope of metal and rock because it's Miley Cyrus. And I say that, but she's kind of gone. I think she's kind of rocky now. I don't think she's so much embedded in that pop sphere that she maybe once was. That said, I don't really know her old albums. This is just me, based on what I've read up about Miley Cyrus and seen. But this is a really great album, and in some ways, when I kind of read who was also involved in producing it, it sort of makes sense. Now, I think Miley Cyrus is actually really talented and she's a really good singer. And I think this is the album where it comes together for me personally. I know some people are saying they think the album is weird. It is a little bit, as I said in my review, there's an element of that it's a bit kind of disjointed in places. But I said that in my review and I've since come to think that, yes, but does it affect my enjoyment of this record? Not at all. I think it's a great album. There's a lot of variety here, which, as I said, I was maybe a little bit critical of in my review. But despite that, it's the songs themselves are all excellent. I think there are only one or two songs I don't care so much about. And yeah, she's great. And like I say, the producers on here. So you had Sean Everett involved in the production of this, I believe. Molly Rankin and Alec O'Hanley from Always. That was particularly on a couple of songs, if I'm right, one of the singles, End of the World. And it sort of makes sense that this was that good. When I hear like people like Always are involved, I'm like, my opinion of Always, I pretty much love them. At this point, I'm a complete Always fanboy. All the kind of words that you use to describe somebody that's obsessed with a band. That's me with Always. And when I heard they were involved with this, it was like, that's why it's, that's why I like it so much, is it? Maybe. Number of the Beast, it's essential, isn't it? Absolutely essential. Can't believe I didn't own it until now. Can't believe I didn't own it. Well, I think I downloaded it a while back, but that's not the same. Not the same. Physical copies are where it's at. Another album I've bought pretty recently, I actually ordered it. Now, I ordered it directly from their website. Something I'm finding is CDs are getting quite expensive, and if you don't get the CD from a shop, from a chain, or some kind of chain music store, and it's a CD that's from a smaller band, say, or a band that's maybe not on a big label, it's quite hard to get those CDs, and they tend not to be in stock on Amazon. They're hard to find, so I end up quite often at the moment, which is not good for my bank account, paying lots of shipping costs for albums by going to the band's website or going to the label website or wherever it is, and you end up paying extortionate amounts of money to get hold of an album that you really want to get hold of, but it's like, I'm not sure I can afford to keep paying this kind of money, so I'm having to be quite strict. I'm finding that for those bands where they're maybe not on a big label, you're spending a fortune on CDs now to get a CD from, and that's not the way around I kind of want it. I'd love for their CDs to be more affordable, but it's hard to support these bands when the CD costs are going up, the CD price is going up rather, because CDs are getting more popular, it seems, or that's what I'm hearing. Yet the cost of CDs seems to be going up. Shipping costs for getting albums from some of these more obscure bands on smaller label, it's just the money. There's just so much money, and I'm buying. I haven't bought as many CDs this year actually as I usually would, probably because of life and cost and things a little bit. But I still buy quite a few CDs. I probably buy maybe 4 a month roughly. Sometimes less than that, but I'd say about 4 a month. That's quite a few. If you think about it, 4 times 12 months, that's about 48 in a year. So that's quite a lot of CDs to get. So there's a little insight into my CD collecting. Now, this is the last CD I'm going to talk about. And, again, not really sort of rock or metal this. In fact, really not rock or metal. This is synth pop. And I've been really getting into the work of Alison Lewis recently. And if you don't know Alison Lewis, she's an electronic artist. She's actually been around since about, I think, sort of early 2010s. She was involved in a project called Linea Aspera. And she's also been in solo projects called Xanias. I thought it was pronounced Xanias, but I think you actually say the word Xanias with a Z. So I've spoken about one of her solo albums in a video I did about essential synth pop albums. But to come back to the CD itself, this is her work in Linea Aspera, their second album, I think. Was this their second album? I thought it was their second album from 2020. And there's the track list on the back. And it's really, really great. I think I actually shared a post on my community tab, which was saying how good I thought this was. Like, it was top tier electronic music. And I think maybe at the time I was sort of carried away with how much I was enjoying it. But it is really, really good. And I'm actually going to see her with her solo project, Xanias, live in September now. So I've actually booked a ticket to go and see her live because I think I love her voice. There's sort of, the more I listen to her, the more she reminds. So I think there's an element almost of Morrissey in some of her singing, the way she sings lines, but she can really sing. I think Morrissey as a singer, you either love or hate, don't you? He's got a kind of unusual voice. But it's just the way I noticed the way she delivers some of her vocals reminded me of that, rather than her sounding like Morrissey per se. And I think she's got a great voice. And, songs on here like Solar Flare, they're really, really strong tracks. I'd say probably my favourites on here, Solar Flare, Equilibrium, Entropy. So yeah, if you like electronic music or synth pop, I've been talking about it a little bit this year on the channel, then you definitely check out Linea Aspera. Definitely check out Xanias, Zanias is how she spells the name. And it's just really good electronic music. Quite dark. And I think those of you that enjoy Chvrches out there probably would enjoy her music. I wouldn't guarantee that, but I think if you like Chvrches, you'll like Xanias and Linea Aspera and their work. But yeah, enjoyable album. So that's my last CD. And I think it brings us closer to the end of the stream. So yeah, I'm probably not going to drag this out too much longer. I have had a virus not too long ago, and I'm still struggling a little bit with the after effects of the cough from that, and pretty nasty stuff actually. Not COVID, I don't think, but something else maybe. So yeah, in the new home, settling in here, and looking forward to the new era of the channel, as I'm calling it. I feel like it's been a long time coming. I had the hiatus last year for about 3 months, and then I came back. But then I've kind of been in and out of content, very, very irregular posting. You'll have weeks where I post maybe 2 or 3 videos, then another 2 weeks go by and I haven't posted anything. So what I want to get back to is just a bit more of a routine thing. And this week, next up, after Lacuna Coil Albums Ranked, which has just premiered, we've got the album review for Eternal Idol's third album, Behind a Vision. And I'm not going to talk about that album review too much on this live stream because, you've got that album review coming up on Wednesday. What I will say is that it's symphonic power metal from Italy. And if you're me, if you say symphonic power metal and then you say it's symphonic power metal from Italy, I'm sold already. I'm like, yep, I'll listen to that. So if you're me, I think so. They're a band with a female vocalist and a male vocalist who sort of sing in tandem together, and the vocalists are superb. Like they're really really good. So if you enjoy, I'd say like quite epic sounding melodic symphonic metal, you'll enjoy it. So yeah, maybe check that one out if you haven't already. Hopefully I'll be appearing on maybe some more Is It That Bad in the future as well. I've got a guest on those. I've not been guesting on many. I did guest on the Arcade Fire video, which actually I need to share. I don't think I've shared the Arcade Fire Is It That Bad yet. I usually share those once I've been on them. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I didn't like that album much. Gave it a thumbs down. Spoiler alert. I should have said spoiler alert. But yeah, that was a real drag, that album. It was the first album I listened to in my new home as well, Hector. That was my first album, was that Arcade Fire album. I mean, of all the albums I could have listened to, Pink Elephant by Arcade Fire. I mean, oh man. And I really didn't enjoy it. But you know what? Maybe it will grow on me a bit over time. I know Rock of All Ages enjoyed it, and I think maybe didn't enjoy it, but said it was I think it was a thumbs up for him. So yeah, maybe I just need to be a bit more patient with it than I have been. But it wasn't clicking. It was not clicking. I still need to check out their other stuff, to be fair. So I know I liked the Suburbs album, I think it was. So I just need to give more of the older material a chance. So maybe I'll get more into it. But yeah, that album to have as sort of the album to serenade you in your new place. I mean, yeah, Pink Elephant by Arcade Fire. It should be something lively, dynamic. Symphonic power metal would have been perfect. But no, of course, I chose to listen to the Is It That Bad contender. Anyway, going off on tangents here now, so I think it's nearly time to finish the stream. Thanks, Sai, for joining me in the comments this time. Where is that chill dude and Rock of All Ages? They sometimes join, but I expect they're busy. Maybe preparing for the next Is It That Bad. I wonder what will be next on Is It That Bad, actually. I wonder what's coming up next. So yeah, anyway. I'll have to think of a name for the new horror channel. So I'll think of that. I'm also thinking of maybe having a slogan for the Green Man. But I'm struggling a bit there. I'm sure there are things I say regularly in album reviews, but it's things like "Hope You're Good and Well" is kind of boring as a slogan, so I'm not going to have that. It's quite funny because actually the JC Rock and Metal Reviews' AI YouTuber video made me think, well, maybe "Tom, I Never Stop Loving You" is quite a funny slogan, but I think that would be weird having people with that on a t-shirt. But yeah. Yeah, thanks, Sai, for joining. Thanks so much for coming along. I think I have a limit because I've only got the free version of StreamYard, so I can only stream for so long anyway. So I'm going to bring this to a close anyway. I've got a super early morning for work tomorrow, so I was never going to be up too late. I got a few things to do before I turn in. But yeah, thanks for watching this. If you've stopped by and watched, thanks for supporting the channel. All of those of you that support the channel, whatever way you do that, whether it's liking videos, commenting on my videos, keeping them in the algorithm, keeping things going. I'm pleased that I've recently gone past 700 subs. I'd love to see the channel get to 1,000, not in a too distant future. I do feel like, it does take work and you have to come up with those videos that are popular, and that takes time and thought and effort. But so it doesn't always, actually. Sometimes I've done videos off the cuff and they do very well. So anyway, that would be great to get to 1,000 subs, but I appreciate the way that my channel tends to grow is quite slow, unless it's one of those kind of lists I do that suddenly takes off. Usually it's the year-end lists. I'm not going to go on about this too long, but usually it's my it's my year-end list that seemed to do the best for me in terms of picking up new subs and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, thanks very much, everybody. I'm looking forward to this new era. Really looking forward to the New Age of Symphonic Metal ranking video. It'll probably be an album review next weekend, I think. And the Symphonic Metal album ranking will probably follow on from that. So not this week, but probably week after this week. That's right. Yeah, that's when I'm thinking of doing it. And really excited to be doing that album ranking. But anyway, that's enough wittering on from me. I'm pretty sure you're probably all bored of this by now. So thanks, everybody. As always, till next time, see you later and bye for now.